We have a Canadian hockey problem in
Yes.
general. What is Canadian hockey now?
Yes.
Have we lost track of it?
Yeah. And
Does it still matter?
I think it matters greatly. Like, there are far fewer collective experiences that we have now as a society. There are far fewer things that tie us together as Canadians as there have ever been, right? We would all agree, like, without trying to get like too political, that the country is far more fractured than it has been in other years. But hockey is still the sport where when they host a tournament on home soil, you're going to see a building fill up the way that it did at, I can never remember what it's called now, where the Sens play.
Canadian Tire Center?
No, it was Canadian Tire Center, but now I think it's
Corral Center.
Yeah, it's not Corral Center anymore. It's one of the, I think it might be another Scotiabank one. Either way, so you will see people pack into that place. I think that hockey has always had not just an important place in terms of like the geography of this country and the way that it fits in terms of having family activities out on an open ice surface, but I also think that it has served as a very important function for immigrant families who have come to this country that is a melting pot to find themselves embedded in the community to say like, hey, this is what we love here. Like, come be a part of it.
This is the Canadian identity. This is where community can be found.
Exactly. And it was that, I know that for my grandparents, like, which, you know, were immigrants to this country on one side.
Giannis Bunkus.
Correct. So it's like, go Lavia. So it's like, I'm worried about what it looks like if the rest of the world not only catches up, but if that does not be, that this is not the thing that we do best, that we are not excellent at something, that we are just one of the horde. We are just one of the nations that is good at hockey, that is considered a hockey nation, but not the gold standard. And what that does over time, if we don't have that as like a touchstone of being Canadian. And to me, like, maybe I'm overvaluing it because it's been so important in my life, but I know it has been for the two of you as well. I know that it has been for a large swath of this audience. And so I think I'm speaking directly to people that are kind of aligned philosophically with me on this. But yeah, like, I think it's very important for Canada to figure this out, not simply because like it's a game, not simply because it's the kids, but I think it's because it's such a huge part of who we are as people.
Yeah. You know, go ahead, Sam.
No. It's just like, that's really well said. And, you know, I think there's been a ton of, you mentioned about the management and who they took and all this stuff. I mentioned this last night on Leafs Talk. I'll mention it again here. You know, B team, B plus team, whatever that team was, some of the guys they left off. And there's, you know, there's the conversation about the Misa and Saginaw and guys out west that they let, all these guys that I'm not Bukala. I don't know their games inside and out. But even if you take if you're Canada 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago, and you take your B plus team to the World Juniors, that's good enough to get to at least a set. You're playing for a medal, right? Like, it's the talking about the conversation of not picking the right team. That's so secondary to me that you take their B plus team and you can't get a scoring chance. You can't make a physical play without taking a stupid penalty. It's just like, it feels like the first generation of kids on that point that have come up without like the emphasis on physical play and on like the contact part of it. Because you watched last night, and two crucial points in the game is in the first period where the guy misses a check in the middle of the ice. It goes knee on knee. We can talk about if it's a 5-minute major or not.
I don't even think
it was close. It was close. Yeah. It was greasy. Anyways, and in the last minute of the game where Buddy throws out his knee again, he's trying to throw a huge hit. It's like, we've lost what hockey used to look like a little bit in this country. And like I mentioned it to you that I think a lot of it just looks so similar. Like, even these guys that have come up over the past few years, watching them in the World Juniors, and a lot of it has to do with them wearing cages because they're young. So I'll fully admit that. But Bedard coming up looked a lot like Celebrini coming up, looks a lot like Gavin McKenna coming up, where it's like this very distinct, almost overcoached style with the specialization and all this stuff, as opposed to just, I don't know, like the core love of hockey. It's almost like it's just overcoached, overdeveloped, over skills. Like, there's too much. They play too much hockey.
To me, it's like, I think the conversation you're trying to have and this one are like, the part about community is so important, but is success on the ice always going to be important to that community you're talking about? Because the world level is going to improve. There's a ceiling to how fast man can run in the 100-meter dash. We are never going to run it in 7 seconds.
Unless we keep changing the shoes.
Well, the shoes can only do so much unless you put rockets in them. We can only run so fast. And hockey, I think there's a level that everyone is getting up to where it's like, you can only be this much better. And so if everyone's improving around the world and everyone's got the better gear and we're finding the techniques as other countries get better, and we play a sport where luck is a heavy factor, the best team in the world in a game in the NHL, the best team in the league versus the worst has like a 60% chance of winning. We're going to lose some games to Latvia. Like
you don't lose that game.
You're going to.
You never have. Like you win that game 15-0 my whole life.
Latvia's level's coming up.
Yeah.
They're getting into that realm where they deserve to be on the same ice as Canada at the very least. And so can we keep the sense of community you're talking about without insisting it come with a gold medal every time, with including people, and I think this is something you kind of want to talk about a little bit too, is that identity of everyone being able to play.
This is the biggest issue for me.
And it's hard. It's expensive.
That's the problem.
And I have an 8-year-old kid who's playing hockey right now who I didn't put in any camps, any tryouts, because I'm afraid of the GTHL.
Yeah.
And everything I've heard about it and the politics and the costs, and I'm afraid of it. And so has what hockey has become, a money-making machine for so many people, limited our ability to experience that community?
I think absolutely.
Why would Charlie be any good at hockey? It's not like his
His
grandparents
got
are
some decent odds, and I just
But this
like,
is
I don't know.
This is
Try
such an
golf.
important part of this conversation. Like, sometimes I think we tiptoe around it, but like you'll just say it, it's becoming a sport for only the wealthy. Like you have to have means now for your kid to go far in the sport. There's only so few.
Yeah, you can play. You can get my kid gets used skates a second time around, and we, the house fees or whatever. But if you want to play,
no, if you want to play, you're talking about tens of thousands of dollar commitment by the time your kid is in their early teens.
Oh, and before.
Yeah. So, and you're talking about those politics even before. And I think that part of this, and I'm not putting this on these kids right now, right? Like, I don't think that. But I do think that this is coming, and I'm seeing it with my friends' kids, and I'm seeing it with the game in general, is like, to Sam's point about professionalization early and these skill coaches and the drive of these parents that are politicking. Like, hockey parents used to be like a thing where it was one kid on your team.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're
one you had one. Mine was Tammy. Like Tammy was the
for sure it was.
crazy hockey mom that was like screaming at officials and like, getting into coaches' ears. And
Way
it was
to
like,
go, Paul.
you had,
shout out Tammy.
guess what? I got to tell you too, I love Tammy to death. Like Tammy's like a sweetheart. Like you did a lot of good things for me, but also like we had that one parent on the team, and now
It's everyone.
it's certainly far more pervasive, and you kind of have to play the game in order to kind of put your kid through the sport. And how could you not feel that way when you're sinking tens of thousands of dollars for your kid if they're sitting on the bottom pairing and they're not seeing any ice time, and you believe in their ability and you're paying all this money and you're now starting to feel used? Like, it would drive you crazy. It would start to pull your hair out. So to the community point,
you'd start thinking about sending a mean email.
yeah, to the community point, the reason why it still does need to be like the level of excellence is like, at least you need to be able to show like, all right, if this is just for the privileged few, at least we're amazing at it.
Right.
Like, at least it's just working out incredibly well. So you're telling me now we have to all be like pay to play to the point where like a hockey stick's $400, where these league registration fees are in the tens of thousands, where you've got, a coaching problem all the way through minor hockey, where you've got scandal after scandal through like multiple different leagues. And I don't doubt there are people that are like well-intentioned in this stuff. Like I know there are. I know there are still volunteers.
Oh, yeah.
Like I know there are people that are very passionate about the game that are doing their best and they're working against a very difficult system. But ultimately, like, the only way for you to not have just people essentially revolt against it and just completely drop out and turn it into polo and just be like, yeah, I can't get a horse, is...
Well, but is a horse any
Yeah,
more
but
expensive?
that's
Apparently,
what I'm saying is like, at least if the horses, if we got the best horses, where our polo team's dominating every time, we're like, okay, we've got some connection to this, because I don't really see...
We're paying for horses and playing like ponies?
Yeah,
A
but that's,
pair of
I
new
just don't
tax
see...
costs $1,000. So
that's
it's like
brutal.
the new sexy tax top of the line are like $1,200.
Oh, tax.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
said cats. I was like,
Cats.
cats? What are this?
Yes, going
I was
for
like,
tax.
what does this have to do
Go
with anything? I was like,
Tackleberry.
now we're doing inflation talk?
Leafs all in on center hunt. Treliving's bold moves could shape Toronto's future. As a die-hard Toronto Maple Leaf supporter, it's hard not to get excited about the latest trade buzz surrounding the team. Brad Treliving, the Leafs general manager, appears poised to make some daring moves to strengthen the squad's depth down the middle. The whispers of significant trades are growing louder, and Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet has added fuel to the fire with his recent revelations. The situation has become even more pressing as the Leafs grapple with the ongoing upper body injury to team captain Austin Matthews. Matthews has already missed the last 4 games, and while the team is doing its best to stay afloat, the need for reinforcements at center is undeniable. Treliving, it seems, is ready to part with valuable assets to address this glaring need. The centers on Treliving's radar. Names like Jake Evans from the Montreal Canadiens, Brock Nelson from the New York Islanders, and the Philadelphia Flyers' Morgan Frost have been mentioned as potential targets. These players bring a mix of experience and skill, each offering something unique to the Leafs lineup. But, as Friedman highlighted during his appearance on the Fan 590's The Fan Hockey Show, the price tags for these players vary significantly. That's the number one thing he's, Treliving, been looking at all season, Friedman noted, emphasizing the GM's focus on finding the right fit at center. This isn't just about plugging a hole, it's about finding a player who can elevate the team to new heights. Priorities in focus. While some fans might argue that the Leafs need help on defense, Friedman suggested that Treliving's primary focus is elsewhere. They did a lot of their work in the off-season. I think now there's a question if they need to go find someone to play with Morgan Rielly, he explained. But, it's not their number one priority. I believe their number one thing all season has been, let's find another center. This clear focus on center depth speaks volumes about Treliving's strategy. The Leafs are willing to pay a hefty price, but there's a caveat: the player must come with term. Why term matters? The preference for term isn't just a strategic move, it's a sign that Treliving is thinking long-term. Rentals can be tempting, especially for a team looking to make a deep playoff run, but they often come with risks. One of the things I've heard is that if they're going to spend assets on a center, they would prefer it to be someone with term, Friedman revealed. This approach ensures that any trade made benefits the Leafs beyond the immediate future. Internal struggles and potential fits. Internally, the Leafs have tried to find solutions. Fraser Minton showed promise earlier this season, but the organization prefers to let him develop further with the Marlies. Meanwhile, the Leafs' current lineup has struggled to maintain its depth in Matthews' absence. One intriguing option could be Vincent Trocheck from the New York Rangers. With the Rangers facing their own challenges, could they be persuaded to part with a player like Trocheck, who already has chemistry with Leaf stars from last year's All-Star game? The road ahead. As the calendar flips to 2025, the trade deadline looms larger. Treliving's actions in the coming months will undoubtedly shape the Leafs' playoff aspirations and potentially their long-term future. For Leafs fans, the anticipation is palpable. Every move, every rumor, and every game feels like a piece of the puzzle. Treliving's willingness to swing for the fences shows a commitment to bringing a championship to Toronto, a dream that has eluded the franchise for far too long. Why this matters? This isn't just another season. This is a chance for the Leafs to solidify their identity as a contender. With Matthews expected to return and the possibility of a major trade to bolster the lineup, the team is poised to make a statement. Treliving's boldness, combined with the team's potential, makes it an exhilarating time to be a Leafs fan. Whether it's Evans, Nelson, Frost, or another unexpected addition, one thing is clear: the Leafs are in it to win it. So, buckle up, Leafs Nation. The journey ahead promises to be as thrilling as it is unpredictable. Treliving's moves could define the legacy of this team, and, hopefully, end the championship drought that has haunted Toronto for decades. The weight of expectations. The Leafs are no strangers to the pressure of the spotlight. Toronto is a hockey city, and the Maple Leafs are its beating heart. Every move made by management is scrutinized, every decision debated endlessly by fans and analysts alike. Treliving stepped into a challenging role when he took over as GM, and his willingness to take bold steps shows he understands the weight of these expectations. What makes this moment particularly critical is the team's current window of contention. With stars like Auston Matthews, Mitch Marner, and William Nylander in their prime, the Leafs are in win-now mode. The front office knows that wasting even a single season could have long-term repercussions. Auston Matthews, the catalyst. Matthews' injury has highlighted just how crucial he is to the team's success. While his absence has been manageable in short bursts, it's clear that the Leafs' center depth isn't built to withstand prolonged stretches without their captain. This has amplified the urgency to bring in another center who can contribute immediately and lessen the load on Matthews when he returns. The captain's recovery timeline is still uncertain, but Treliving's proactive approach suggests the team isn't willing to gamble on waiting too long. The goal is clear: solidify the lineup so that when Matthews is back, the Leafs are firing on all cylinders. The cost of boldness. The term significant assets isn't used lightly. Whether it's high draft picks, promising prospects, or even current roster players, Treliving is signaling that no stone will be left unturned. The Leafs' prospect pool is respectable but not overflowing, meaning any trade will have to be meticulously calculated. There's also the financial aspect. The Leafs are a team that operates near the salary cap, so any addition will require shrewd cap management. Could Treliving pull off a move that strengthens the roster without hamstringing the team's flexibility? If he does, it would be nothing short of a masterstroke. The fan base's role. Leafs Nation, passionate as ever, has already begun dissecting potential trade scenarios. Social media is abuzz with debates about who should be targeted and what assets should be sacrificed. Fans understand the stakes, and there's a growing sense of anticipation, bordering on impatience, for Treliving to make his move. It's a delicate balance for the GM. While fans demand immediate results, he must ensure that any deal aligns with a long-term vision of sustained success. The pressure to deliver is immense, but so is the potential reward. Comparisons to past GMs. Treliving's approach invites comparisons to his predecessors. Some GMs were criticized for being too conservative, while others were seen as overly aggressive. Treliving, however, seems to have struck a balance. He's willing to take risks, but only if they make sense for the team's broader goals. This calculated boldness is exactly what the Leafs need in this pivotal moment. If Treliving can pull off a game-changing trade, he could cement his place as one of the most effective GMs in recent Leafs history. The trade deadline looms. The NHL trade deadline is one of the most exciting times of the year, and this season promises to be no exception. With the Leafs actively shopping for a center, every rumor and report will be magnified. Other teams are watching closely, too, as any move by Toronto could shift the balance of power in the league. It's not just about who the Leafs acquire, it's about what message the move sends. A major trade would signal to the league, and to their own players, that Toronto is all in. That kind of confidence can be infectious, sparking a surge of momentum heading into the playoffs. Lessons from the past. Leafs fans have seen their fair share of trade deadline moves over the years, some more successful than others. From acquiring veterans to bolster playoff runs to making unexpected gambles, the franchise's history offers lessons for Treliving. The key will be avoiding the pitfalls of overpaying for short-term fixes while maximizing the impact of any new additions. The future of Fraser Minten. One of the most intriguing subplots is the development of Fraser Minten. The young center has shown flashes of brilliance but remains a work in progress.